I swear, the first time I saw that little black girl standing alone on that broken porch, barefoot, holding a flashlight like it was her only weapon, something in my chest just cracked. But I had no clue that walking toward her that night would change both our lives forever. Before we dive in, please subscribe for more stories like this, man. Let me tell you what really went down, because every time I think about that night, it still hits me in a way I can't shake off. I was driving through this forgotten stretch of countryside, the kind of place where even the street lights gave up years ago, when my car broke down right near this old, abandoned-looking house. Windows cracked, shingles missing, porch sagging like it didn't want to hold up another day. At first, I thought the place was empty, a ghost shell. But then I heard this tiny shuffle, this soft clink of metal against wood, and I froze. I looked up, and there she was, a young black girl, maybe 10 or 11, standing on that porch barefoot, clutching a flashlight with both hands. Her hair was tied back in a little puff, her clothes worn but clean. And her eyes, man, those eyes were tired in a way no kid's eyes should ever be. Not afraid, just exhausted, like she'd been fighting battles nobody ever saw. I called out, real gentle, "Hey, you okay out here?" She didn't move at first, just stared at me like she was trying to figure out if I was dangerous or just stupid. Finally, she whispered, "You shouldn't be here. People don't stop around this place." And I swear her voice sounded like she'd been living off strength alone. I stepped closer, but slow, hands up to show I wasn't gonna hurt her. "My car died," I said. "I'm not here to bother you." She hesitated, then nodded like she decided I wasn't a threat. She kept scanning the trees, though, like something in the dark might be watching her. That's when I realized this kid wasn't just living here. She was surviving here. When I asked her if she lived alone, she didn't answer at first. She just pointed her flashlight toward the side of the house. There were 2 little wooden crosses sticking out of the dirt. No names, no dates. Just 2 hand-carved shapes made by a kid who didn't have anyone left to help her grieve. Her voice cracked when she said, "Those were my parents. It's just me now." My whole chest caved in. This little girl had been out here alone, in this collapsing house, after losing the only family she had. And the crazy part, nobody in town even cared enough to check. She told me the neighbors avoided her, called the house cursed, whispered stories instead of helping. She didn't go to school anymore, didn't trust foster homes, didn't trust grown-ups. She'd been making it work on canned food, rainwater, and the flashlight she held like a lifeline. When thunder rolled across the sky, she flinched hard. The storm was coming fast. I told her she couldn't stay out there alone during a storm like that. "I've been through worse," she insisted. But her voice was shaking. She didn't want to seem weak. She didn't want pity. So I said something simple. "You don't have to do this alone tonight." I didn't know if she'd trust me enough to let me inside, but she surprised me. She stepped back, opened the cracked door, and let me into that house. Inside looked like time had quit. Dust everywhere, furniture half broken, walls peeling. But you know what stood out? The little things she tried to keep alive. A teddy bear missing an arm, a stack of books taped together, a tiny lantern she hung from a nail, a blanket folded with care. She wasn't living in filth. She was holding on to whatever dignity she could. When lightning flashed, the whole house rattled. She hugged her flashlight like someone else might hug a parent. I sat on the floor across from her, not too close. I didn't want to scare her or act like I understood her pain. I just stayed there and listened. She told me how her parents got sick, how nobody helped them, how she buried them herself because she didn't trust the town to do it right, how she'd been hiding every time strangers passed by because she heard too many stories about kids taken away and losing everything. I told her my name, that I wasn't some creep, just a guy who happened to get stuck on the wrong road. She studied me for a long second and finally whispered her name. Nyla. The storm kept hammering the roof, and one of the beams cracked loud. Nyla jumped. She tried to hide it, but I saw fear flash across her face for the first time. When another beam groaned, I knew that house wasn't safe. At any moment, part of the roof could come down on her. I'm getting you out of here, I said. She shook her head fast like she was terrified to leave. This is the last thing I have of them, she said. If I leave, I have nothing. Hearing that hit deep, so I told her the truth. Your parents aren't in the wood or the walls. They're in you. Leaving the house doesn't mean leaving them. Her lip trembled. She wiped it away quick, trying to be tough. When part of the ceiling finally caved in during the storm that decided everything, I grabbed her hand. She didn't fight me this time. We ran out into the rain, soaked instantly, thunder cracking overhead. She stayed right behind me like she'd been waiting her whole life for someone to fight for her for once. I got her to my car. It started, thank God, and drove her to the hotel I was staying in near the next town. She kept staring out the window the whole ride, like she couldn't believe she was leaving that nightmare behind. At the hotel, she stood stiff, like she wasn't sure she belonged there. I got her food, warm clothes, made sure she had a bed. She kept whispering thank you, like she wasn't used to being helped. When she finally fell asleep, curled up with the blanket like a shield, I realized something. I wasn't just helping a kid. I was watching the bravest soul I'd ever met. The next morning, things changed forever. I made some calls. The kind of calls only a billionaire could make. Private investigators, lawyers, child advocates, the right people. I wasn't about to let the system swallow Nyla whole. I learned the town had failed her in every way, and I wasn't going to let her fall through another crack. When she woke up, I knelt down beside her and told her something simple, something honest. You deserve a life better than fear. She looked at me like she didn't know whether to believe it, so I showed her. I took her to a new home, a safe home, warm, clean, full of light, and told her she could stay as long as she wanted. No pressure, no tricks, just safety. And it wasn't about charity. It wasn't about guilt. It was about a kid who deserved the world finally having someone in her corner. The day she smiled, like really smiled, it was like the sun cracked open the sky itself. And I knew right then everything changed for her and for me. Because sometimes we think we're helping someone survive, but sometimes they save you right back. Before we end, if this story touched you even a little, make sure you subscribe for more stories like this. It truly helps us grow. And let me know in the comments, where are you watching from?